if you are liking the videos, please leave a like and subscribe, or feel free to leave a comment. Just tell me what you think. But let's get right into it. So today what I'm going to be taking trades on is going to be SPY for today, not QQQ. Not really liking the zone on QQQ. SPY seems to have a better setup today. I'm going to be also reviewing Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, and Meta as well. So let's get right into it. So you can see right here on the 1 hour time frame, we have a nice demand zone from, let's get the exact zone, from 436.39 to 437.24. I think that's going to be an area of interest where I think you're going to get a lot of buyers in this area, as indicated from here, and we'll see what happens today. Now, considering that the TTM is showing a squeeze, this really could fire either way. It could fire up or down. The futures have been pretty flat, so there's no telling. I was debating about marking this out as a demand zone. It might be. What I would need to see for this to be a demand zone is for the market to rally up to here or to here within the zone in order for me to consider that a demand zone. But what I'm going to be watching for supply is I'm not going to take a trade on this supply zone yet. I would not take a trade unless I had a one candlestick confirmation on it, meaning that I would need a nice momentum candle, a hammer candle, a gravestone candle with pretty significant volume for me to be able to take that trade, just because those type of candles with increased volume usually are the candles that are the reversal. So I would have to wait for confirmation before trading this zone here, make sure that the risk to reward was in my favor. Now, let's just say hypothetically this zone breaks down. What I'm going to be looking for is this zone up here. Now, this one is a very solid supply zone. So if price moves up into that zone, I'll definitely be watching it. So that's from 443.78 to 444.30. This zone, I believe that there's going to be some big price action as indicated over the last 3 to 4 days. It's been a very big hot spot for sellers lately. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be looking at for SPY. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the 15-minute time frame while I'm at it. Might as well see if there's a better zone to be taken here. Now, yeah, because usually what I like to do is, I'll look for a way to shrink down the demand zone or supply zone on the 15-minute chart. So what I'll do is I'll find like the low here. I'll just say the candle is like right here. I'll just shrink this down so that way I get a more accurate sense of where buyers or sellers are sitting. But the only issue is, even if you try to shrink this down, you also have this area right here, meaning that there's high liquidity within this demand zone. So it's definitely going to be an area of interest today. I would not be shocked if you get a push down then a push up, kind of similar to yesterday, maybe creating a double bottom. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be looking for on SPY. So let's go over to, what was the next one? Tesla. All right. So what we got here? So on the hour chart, what we got is a low at this candle at 272.82. Let me just get this exactly. What was the close of this one? 275.12. And the low of this was, let's see here, 274.23. $272.88. I was gonna say that didn't really make any sense. All right, we're gonna mark that out as green. Now on Tesla, I'd be a little hesitant of taking this zone, just because yes, there are buyers, but it didn't really get pushed up too much because keep in mind that the EMAs were also overextended, and what you got more was a bounce off the 50 EMA, and you got a bounce off the 20. I think it was just correcting the EMAs. Now it's kind of giving mixed signals. There's no really telling where it's going to go. Now I would say if it broke down this demand zone, then definitely just be a little careful. I would be looking for puts on it. Now if it on the hour chart, if it goes above this demand zone, if it goes above the 21 EMA here, what I would be looking for is a nice solid move, possibly up until, let me mark it out, 284.25. And what was open on this one? All right, that'll do. So yeah, I definitely watch for a move on Tesla to this zone. So what I'm kind of expecting for Tesla for today would be if we move out of this demand zone right here, I would expect to move from 275.70 to the 282 area, possibly. More likely 282 to be exact. Just because you can see that's where the sellers were yesterday. Most likely that's where they're going to be today. TTM is showing that there's buyers entering the market, meaning that the demand zone is valid and that there's going to be most likely a push at the open to there. So yeah, I would watch that. Let's just go over to the daily chart, see what we're looking at here. All right, so what you could be looking at is you could be looking for a move back down to the 9 EMA for a correction upward to go to a newer high, because what you're establishing is a lower high and higher, a lower high and a higher high. So what you're establishing there is obviously an uptrend. But the problem is you need to fill this gap in order to proceed higher. So I think what I'm going to be looking at for Tesla is the high 265, 264.45. What we'll do is this. So definitely watch that zone for a support. I think you're going to find support somewhere around there. If that demand zone breaks down, it would make a lot of sense considering that the 9 EMA is there too. So that provides another level of support. And let me see if I can find anything else on Tesla while I'm at it. Well, obviously watch the resistance up here at this high, 284.25. So watch that as a level. So I watch this zone right here from 264.65 to 284.25. I think that zone is going to provide some nice price action for you guys to be able to trade today. So let's go over to Microsoft. Let's see here. What do we got? So from what I see from yesterday's price action, we're just following the 21 EMA. 22 EMA, sorry. So what I'm going to be looking for is, considering that this candle has a higher high than this candle right here, we have increased volume on this candle and it's larger than this candle right here. That's going to be a very good sign for the bulls. Now I would say that you would probably most likely get a push from 343 to possibly 348. That's kind of the zone I would watch from Microsoft. So yeah, definitely look out for that today. What I'm going to do now is go down to the hour chart. Mark out some supply and demand zones for you. All right. Well, I definitely consider this area right here demand. As you can see, the sellers yesterday pushed it right back down to here, went up, went to go test it, pushed back up. So that zone's going to be an area of interest for today. Even though that we went across this price here at 342.67, I believe it is 342.73. So I would look for a close above 342.73 in order to get bullish on Microsoft. Now, if we close above that, what I would say is I would watch this level up here at 348. We just have to first break down this supply zone right here. Let's see, that's a high of what? 343.30. There we go. So I definitely keep that area in mind. Got a nice solid supply zone right there. So yeah, if we break down that supply zone, look for a move to the 346 to 348 range. And I would not get bullish or bearish on Microsoft yet, just due to the fact that I think you're going to stay within this range. And until you break one of these levels down, either demand or supply, I wouldn't really be looking for any massive moves. So let me just change the color over so you guys just can see this better. All right, there we go. So we have that marked out on Microsoft now. So what we're going to do now is go over to Aapl. So on Aapl, what we got here is a nice solid supply right here from, what was the high there? 192.98. Let's draw that in exactly. And we'll draw it down to here. To the close of this candle, 192.36. So I'll definitely watch that zone on Aapl. Obviously, big sellers have been there in the past. So watch that. The low of this candle is going to be 188.78. And the low of this candle is going to be, or no, more up, we want the close. So the close is 189.33. So right there. So watch as a good area to find some good calls right there. Just mark this out. All right, so yeah, definitely watch these two areas for today. If we break down this supply zone here, look for supply right here. And just for the sake of it, I'll mark it out for you as well. So the high of this candle is going to be 193.97. And what was the open to this one? 193.51. All right, so that will do. Yeah, so plan for Aapl will be if price moves down to the zone, of 188.78 or 189.33. Look to buy some calls here. Wait for the confirmation on the 5-minute chart before you buy anything. That's what I would be doing. If we break down this zone, I'll be looking for I would look for a move down to 187.94. You can make that a nice put play right there. If we push higher today and we push into this supply zone right up here from 192.36 to 192.97, I would look for some puts possibly, and what you might get is an overextension of the EMAs. You might get a recheck of the EMA before proceeding higher. Considering that this is a new supply zone, I believe liquidity is still going to be there with the sellers. If we do break down that zone, then look for the move to 193.52 to 193.96. And if we break down that zone, 194.48 will be in play. If we reject this zone, then watch this area as a possible support. So that's going to be what I'm going to be looking for on Aapl. And now we're going to go over to Meta. Actually, one more thing on Aapl. Forgot to go to the yearly chart. Let's do that. All right, where are you? Nope, wrong button. There. All right, so what do we get here? As you can see here from the high of this candle right here, 190.07. Yeah, so that's where the gap was formed. Gap is now filled. You get a bounce off the EMA, and you have roughly the same amount of volume as this candle. This volume on this candle would be a bad sign, just due to the fact that you got a very small candle, high amount of volume for that candle size, meaning that you got a bearish divergence. Now, for a candle of this size, for this volume, not necessarily a bad thing, but not necessarily a good thing. I would want to see maybe a little bit more of a candle structure, but we'll see what ends up happening today. I think that most likely what you're going to get is a move upward to around these supply zones right here. I think that's going to make for an interesting move on Aapl. And just because Aapl is showing some strong support at that zone, if Aapl starts to look strong, look for a move off of demand on SPY or QQQ. That'll be something to look at as well. Now we're going to go over to Meta. So on Meta, I never reviewed Meta before, but I know they're at all-time highs, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right. No, they're not. But either way, let's see what we're dealing with here. So, this is interesting. Yes, Meta has been on an absolute tear lately. We have this gap here that we have to fill. What we have here is a gap here we had to fill, so we got a nice rally upward. Issue is, though, are we going to continue the rally upward, or are we going to sink right back down to the 220 range before proceeding higher? That's the big question. Obviously, I'm not going to try to even predict that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to be drawing out the zones I want you guys to watch today. Now, we got increased volume, way above average volume on Meta for that candle and for this candle. So, my personal opinion, it could be a possible reversal forming up. Let me just go over to the 90-day 1 hour, see what we're dealing with here. Yeah, so you might get a possible reversal on Meta, or at least a meltdown today. So just see the low of this candle is what? 284.65. And we'll do the high of this candle, 285.90. So I definitely watch this as a possible demand zone right here. Obviously, wait until you get the candlestick confirmation. That's a good zone before you take any trades. Now, what I'm seeing here is a TTM squeeze. Buyers are starting to enter the market here at the 7 o'clock candle. So what you might get is a move up into a supply zone. So we'll draw that out. So 329 right here. And what we're going to do is the close of 298.88. Let's draw that there. Oh, here we go. All right. Yeah, so I've definitely watched this range for Meta right here. So what I'm watching for Meta is going to be 284.65 to 285.91. You break that zone downward, then what I would be looking for is a move down to 280 to 281.55. If we start rounding upward, I would expect a move to 298.86 to 329. And I would not be surprised. I would watch this area as a possible resistance. This area is a possible resistance because you can see that sellers are big at the 294.83 and the 298.12. So now that I've gone over the review of the stocks I'm watching for today, what I'm going to do now is go over to Market Watch. And we're going to see if we have any big news coming out today that would affect any type of decisions. All right, so today is Friday. We have U.S. non-farm payroll, employment rate, hourly rate, wages. We have wages year over year, and Chicago Fed president interview. So maybe watch for volatility around 2 o'clock. You might get some around 8:30. But overall, it should be a fairly calm day, maybe more of a trending day. But hope you guys all enjoyed, and good luck with your trading today.